Hi everyone, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining us today for this Volunteer Toolkit webinar. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Lori. Once I get myself unmuted, I'm Lori, and we are I'm your troop support specialist, and Lisa's assisting me today. Okay, so to get started, we're going to show you how to get access the Volunteer Toolkit. You do so by going to our website, GSWCF.org, and logging on to the My GS portion. If you click on there, this is where you would typically go to renew your membership as well. When you click on My GS, you're going to select the Volunteer Toolkit option. And if you're not already logged in, just log in with the same registration or the same email and password you would to renew your registration. And then you'll get to this window where you have two options. You're going to go ahead and click on Volunteer Toolkit. I do want to mention to you that since we are speaking mainly to our troop leaders this morning, that you need to have 2 registered troop leaders in your troop to have access to the Volunteer Toolkit. So if you're a newly formed troop and you only have 1 individual listed as a troop leader, then you will not have access to the Volunteer Toolkit. Notify us and we'll see if you can find another parent or another person who would like to assist as co-leader. We'll put them in the troop leader role, and then they will have access to the Volunteer Toolkit.
All right, and before we actually get into the Volunteer Toolkit, I just wanted to mention the difference between Volunteer Toolkit and Member Profile. Member Profile is where you can manage memberships. So this is where you would go, for example, during early bird season to renew your entire troop at one time. You can also register your troop or your family for events through Member Profile. When you're looking at your roster member profile, this is where you're going to see your current members as well as members who are no longer in your troop. It will say inactive next to those names. And it's also where you can see the background check expiration dates for the other volunteers in your troop. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the VTK.
I do also want to mention that your parents have access to the Volunteer Toolkit as well. They have a slightly different view. They will be able to see only their family in the member profile. And when going into the Volunteer Toolkit under the My Troop, and Lisa will go into this momentarily, they will have a limited view. They will not be able to see the full troop. They will only see their daughter. And they can get in to see the year plan. We'll review that momentarily, but they have access to the Volunteer Toolkit as well.
All right, so I'm going to go through each of these tabs up here in the Volunteer Toolkit. But before I get started, I wanted to point out a couple of things that are new. The first thing is this VTK Help menu over here. When you click on that, it opens up this window where you can type in questions about the Volunteer Toolkit. There's little articles with information, and there's also some tutorial videos down at the bottom. So that's really neat. That's brand new. And then along with that, are these little information buttons where if you hover over it, it gives you a little bit of information about what you can do in that section of the Volunteer Toolkit before you click on it. So that's really, really great that they've put that in there. So let's go ahead and start in the first tab over here, the My Troop tab. This is where you're going to see your most accurate roster. Only currently active members in your troop will show it in here. And each one has this little drop-down arrow that shows information for each girl, such as their address, their date of birth. It's also where you would see their attendance and their achievements if you've recorded it in the Volunteer Toolkit, which I'll show you how to do that later. You can renew individual members here, though I suggest doing that in the member profile versus in the Volunteer Toolkit because you can do everybody at one time. You can update members' contact information, and that will update it in our system as well. And you can also download or print your roster. And something that's new that you couldn't do before is when you download or print it, it will include all the girls and the adults, where before it was only the girls. So that's a new improvement. And then When you scroll past all of the girls, that's where the adults would be in a separate section, or any in this dummy troop. But I wanted to point out over here that in the adult section, you can add a new volunteer, and this will take you over to member profile. And you can also email your entire troop from this tab. You would just click on this. Here it says email to 8 contacts, and it would open up an email with all of the parents' email addresses in it already. And if you're using Outlook, you want to make sure to check this box here, because it will populate those semicolons between the email addresses that Outlook requires. If you have multiple troops, you would go to this drop down here to toggle between your different troops. This is also where, if a parent was logged in, if she had 2 daughters in 2 different troops, she would also have this drop down so that she could look at her 2 daughters' different troops. You can add a troop photo at the top here, and this would just be for the leaders and parents to see. Nobody else could see that. And I think that's everything in this tab. And again, if you have any questions while we're going along, please type them in the chat log, and we'll try to address them as we go. If we don't get to them, we'll send an email with the answers. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move over to the year plan tab. Okay, and actually I'm going to switch back over to this site so I can show you what it looks like when you first log in if you've never done anything with it before. So we're looking at a junior troop. When you log in, it's going to show whatever you have your troop set, whatever level your troop is set to in our system. It's a little bit different for a multi-level troop. I'll go over that a little bit later. But for Daisy, Brownies, and Juniors, the options you'll see are the badge year, the various journey years that are available, and then the create your own year plan. For cadet, senior, and ambassador troops at this time, the only options are create your own year plan, or there's a PDF for the outdoor journey. It's not in the same format as these other journeys are up here. It's something that GSUSA is still working on, and they'll be releasing more year plans for older girl troops for the next membership year, I believe. And create your own year plan is basically just a blank year plan, and you add individual meetings to it, which I'll show you how to do later.
There's also some other features that you can look at the top across from the words explore the year plan. You'll see the year plan overview. That is actually options to look at some videos that GSUSA has created. And also right below it, another where it says PDF year plan overview. This is a great way where you can engage your girls into selecting which year plan they would like to participate in. This shows you in a PDF version what each of the year plans will consist of. And please note that especially on some of the new year plans, the new journeys, excuse me, the year plan includes some additional badges that round out the year. For example, when you look at the STEM Think Like a Programmer, to earn that particular journey, it's in the Think Like a Programmer badge and then the Take Action Award. And then they round it out with additional badges that you can do to complete the year. And we will show you momentarily how you can switch these out, add different ones if you'd like, or make it your own. But this is a great way, once again, to share with your girls to get them involved in picking what they like to do.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just, real quick, you can also preview each individual year plan here before you select it. It will show you all the meetings that you'll be adding into your year plan. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and select the Get Moving year plan. So once you've selected a year plan, that's really just a starting point. It's the the VTK is very customizable from there. Okay, some technical difficulties. While she's doing that,
we do want to mention that, of course, you're planning. Typically, you plan for the full year at the beginning of the year. Each year you can the volunteer toolkit resets on July 1st or June 30th. It will archive your current year that you can reference in the future, or if you want to reference back to it, but that'll give you opportunity to start planning your new year. You can start a new year plan at any time during the year. Based on the number of meetings that you'll have will determine whether or not it will fit into the full year and be done in time for by the end of before June 30th when it archives, and we'll get into that momentarily.
Okay, I think it's working now. Sometimes if there's a lot of people on the demo site, it has some glitches. So, oh, it went back. Okay, so the first thing I want to point out is that when you first select a year plan, it's going to number the meetings 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So the first thing to customize it is you want to switch those numbers to dates, and you do that by going up to the top where it says specify dates and locations. And you put in the start date, so the first meeting you're going to have. You fill in the time and the frequency. And then you want to look at these dates down here. These are national holidays. And if you leave all of these checked, the VTK will not schedule a meeting the week of that holiday. So for more major holidays such as Thanksgiving, that's probably a good idea. But for a holiday like Columbus Day, you probably would still meet that week. So you might want to uncheck that. You can also add in the meeting location here. And then I'm going to go ahead and update this. And as you can see, it's added dates now. And again, when parents log in, this is what they would see. They could see the calendar. So if you look at these orange bars up here, I'm going to switch back over here so you can see our council ones. These are council-wide important dates that we've entered. And once you add the dates into your meeting, they intermingle into your calendar. So that it's things like World Thinking Day, when cookie booths start and end, Summapalooza, those kinds of council-wide dates. Go back over here. Okay, so you've selected this year plan. Like Lori mentioned before, it's going to include the meetings that you need to complete this journey with your troop. But it's going to also throw in some extra badges to fill out their year. Now this one, because we're halfway through the year, it didn't add in those extra badges. But let's go over here. And I'm going to show you how you can delete a meeting if it's not something that your girls want to do. So there's a couple different ways. You can click here, and it'll open up this widget, and you can just click delete meeting. And it does work on dates in the past now. That is new. You have to do it a little bit differently. Open it up, delete meeting. You can also do it in specified dates and locations. Cancel meeting. Well, if you cancel it, it'll gray it out, but it'll leave it on your year plan. So now we've deleted a meeting, but there's a different badge that the girls want to do that wasn't included. What you do is go up to add a meeting. And this is really important too for multi-level troops. You'll see later why, but every troop level has access to Daisy Barney and Junior and multi-level. So we're going to stick with Junior. So we've selected Junior. We want to look at the badge and pedal meetings, and we want to look at life skills. It's going to bring up all of those badges that fall into that category, and then you just select the ones that you want, we're going to do social butterfly 1 and 2 and add it to the year plan. It will show up at the bottom. One of them, oh, there it is. Okay. And then you just can change the dates. You can also combine the meetings. For example, social butterfly that we just added, it's broken down into 2 meetings, but if you're going to be able to knock that out in 1 meeting, you can put them on the same date. And you do that by going to back up to specify dates and locations. Click the little green calendar, combine meetings, and then you just select the meetings that you want to combine. So we'll do 1 and 2. Continue. We're going to do it on this date and save. So let's go back and find it. So both meetings are still there because each one has different activities in it to complete the badge, but they're on the same day. Another thing that you can do to customize your year plan is you can add an activity. So the difference between a meeting and an activity is a meeting is the pre-populated meetings that are in the volunteer toolkit where they're specifically working on a badge or a journey and the requirements are within that meeting already. An activity is something such as a cookie booth or a troop camping trip, something that's not already in the volunteer toolkit. So once you have, as a troop, you already have your cookie booth scheduled, you can go ahead and add it to your calendar here. So I'm just going to show you how to do that. It requires a location. If it's a field trip, that's going to require money. You can put the cost of it here. You can add an activity description or notes. I'm going to put a little note on uniform. Remember to wear a uniform to the cookie booth. Then you just put in the date, the time, and we're going to add the activity. And also, if you look at this tab here, the council activity, you can add onto your year plan also events from our program guide. So let's go ahead and add this. And it shows up in blue. And then when you open it, and the parents can open it into and see this information, it has the date, the location, what the activity is, and whatever notes you put in there. So please wear a uniform. These 3 girls and 2 parents are supposed to be at this cookie booth, whatever you want to put in there. You can also send an email reminder from here, and you can also record attendance, which is new. You didn't used to be able to record attendance in activities, only in meetings. So that is really awesome that they added that in. Let's go back over here to the year plan.
And that activities feature is wonderful, taking attendance. So if, for example, you're doing an event, well, you're doing part of a badge requirement at that event, then that's a great way for you can keep track of which girls attended that event to have earned that achievements. And then you can reach out to the additional girls who may not have attended that event and have them do something similar, so everyone's earning the same requirements.
Okay. So I think that's everything I wanted to show you about how to customize your year plan. Now I want to show you what it looks like for a multi-level troop. Let's go back over here to the demo. Okay, so when a multi-level troop leader logs in, they're only going to see these 4 multi-level journeys and then the create your own year plan. And the reason for that is because this past summer, GSWCF released these journeys that are specifically for multi-level troops where all the girls, daisies through juniors, can work on the same journey. Now there's notes in there to explain how to take it up a notch or down a notch for daisies or the juniors, but the material is basically the brownie material. And then we did have a couple cadet leaders in here. So just to show you what it looks like, here's where you can download the PDF for the cadet outdoor journey and then the create your own year plan. So like I said, there are going to be more meetings added for the older girls this coming membership year, but for now you could still build your year plan by selecting create your own year plan and adding activities.
And I did want to just mention to our older girls who may be utilizing that PDF of the year plan for the outdoor journey. It is basically all of the meeting plans, which we're going to go into next, in one PDF. So it's about 104 pages. So you do want to make sure that you scroll through, and if you print out any of those pages, you don't, be aware that you have 104 pages and you just want to pick out the ones that you want. And as Lisa says, there are additional and new program content coming out for our cadet seniors and ambassador girls this coming membership year, the following membership year. So just keep checking back and listen. We'll definitely be advertising when those have been released.
Okay, and then before we move on to the meeting plan tab, I also wanted to point out that the VTK, there's not an app you can download for your phone, but it is mobile device friendly. So, but it does have a little bit of a different look. So we're using the normal view you would see on a computer, but if you're doing it on your mobile phone, this is a screenshot of what you would see. So those menu options that you see at the top of our website, you would click, there's these little 3 horizontal lines, and that is where you would click and it would expand open those menu options that you normally would see at the top. And then also, once you've created your plan, if you're doing this on your phone, you can actually download it onto your smartphone calendar by clicking this drop down and then clicking download calendar. It will put it on the calendar that comes on your smartphone. It doesn't update, so if you make any changes in your volunteer toolkit, you have to delete in your calendar and then re-download it. But that's a really cool feature that I think it's new. We just discovered it recently, so I wanted to point that out. Okay, so let's move on to the meeting plan tab. So this is where if you, let's go over here. If you click on one of your meetings, that's where it takes you, is over to the meeting plan tab. And this is where all the details for the meeting are. All right, there we go. So the first section, here's a video. It always has the picture of the Badger journey that you're working on in that meeting. And you can also move between the meetings here. So the first section is the planning materials. There's a meeting overview, which is just that. It's just kind of a summary of the meeting, how long it'll take, those kinds of things, what you can do to prepare. Whenever you open these windows, you want to make sure to click the X to get out of them. Otherwise, if you do the back button, it'll go all the way back, not back to where you just were. The next thing is the activity plan, and this has the step-by-step activities, step-by-step instructions for the activities in this meeting. It has the time allotment, the materials you need, the steps, and then some of them even have scripts, which is really great for brand new troop leaders who may have never run a meeting before and don't really know what to say to get started and get things going. And all of these windows also can be printed or downloaded. So if you want to send this to a parent who's going to be helping, or if you don't have internet access at your meeting place, you could download it onto your computer. And then we have the materials list, and that's basically just, they took all of the little materials lists from the activity plans and put it all in one document, and you could print that out as your shopping list. And it still breaks it down by activity. All right, so in this manage communication section, you can send a meeting reminder email. Let's see if we can do that over here. Nope. Okay. When you open this, it's going to populate this email that has all the details for that particular meeting in it already. It has the date, location, the topic of that meeting. It has, it's not letting me look at it, but it has more information down here about what's going to be done in that meeting. And this can all be edited. So if there's anything that you don't necessarily want in here, you can delete it. You can add your own information there. And then if you leave this checked, it will send it to everybody in the troop. This is also where you would record attendance, and I have to do this over here where we have dummy troop. Maybe I need to go to here we go. Okay, so record attendance. This is what it looks like when you record the attendance. You just check who is there. And then, so this is just the intro, but let's say this was one of our badge or journey meetings, like this one here. Whoever you say was in attendance at this meeting, it will also record their achievements based on what was worked on in this meeting. So if they earned this part of the journey, that would be recorded.
And that makes for a great opportunity for you to have a concise list of how many girls completed which aspects of the journey, and if they all did, and then you can just print out that attendance or that achievements list and then take that to your shopping while you go pick out their awards and their badges at the store or order them online.
All right, the next section is the meeting aids. This is really neat because a lot of these are printables. And a lot of them come straight from the books that you're already familiar with. This just one example. For some of the younger girls, there's coloring sheets that you can print, and there's actually some of them are videos as well. And you can also add meeting aids. So a good example is it's cookie season right now. So there's a Meet the Cookies meeting aid. So we're going to go ahead and add that. And here it is right there in that meeting tab. So if you're having a meeting before cookie season, you can go ahead and add that in there. All right, let's move down to the meeting agenda. So this breaks down the meeting basically by the minute. It includes all the activities that were in that activity plan that we looked at before. It has the start time for each activity based on what time you set the meeting to start at. I guess this one starts at 1:06. And then it has the time allotment for each activity. So just like the year plan, this is also customizable. You can drag and drop, just like the meeting dates in the year plan, to reorder the activities. You can delete activities. Not going to do that one. And you can edit the time allotment. So this one's going to actually take us 20 minutes. And as you can see, it adjusts all of the start times. It's made this 20 minutes, adjusted the start times, and it's also adjusted the full meeting time down at the bottom. And if you do this before you send your meeting reminder, it would be in there as well. Okay, something I wanted to point out that's not in this particular meeting. Let's see. Here we go. First aid. So some of the meetings will have this little tree next to some of the activities. And what that means is there's an option to do this activity outdoors. So if you're trying to get your girls to go outside more, you might want to take a look at these activities. And all you do to select it is click on the tree. It turns green. We're going to open that up, and you can also select it here. So if you selected the outdoor one and then it rains, you just change it back. And once you've, I'm going to go ahead and pick all of these. Once you've selected outdoors, it will also show that on your year plan calendar. So you can see both of these trees are green now. Okay, so back down to the sorry, the meeting agenda. So, okay, we went over that. And then the last thing down here is the meeting notes. This is just where you can put notes. I don't believe the parents can see this. I'm not 100% sure, but both troop leaders or all troop leaders in the troop can see it. So even though each troop leader logs in with their own user account, when they're accessing the VTK, they're accessing the same troop VTK. So if one troop leader adds a note here, Susie's mom is going to bring snacks to this meeting. I'm going to save that. And then something that's new is that it puts a date stamp and lets you know who last edited the notes section. And that reminds me something that I did forget to mention in the meeting agenda is that in addition to deleting meetings and changing the times, you can add your own activities as well. So add an agenda item. So it's Susie's birthday. So we're going to spend the last 15 minutes of the meeting singing and cake. So as you can see, it added it to the end here. It put the time allotment and added that to the full meeting time. When you open up, and it just has those notes that you added.
And just as Lisa said, as you add items, it will extend the length of the meeting unless you adjust it someplace else. So that gives the parents, you can notify the parents that that particular meeting may run a bit longer, or if there's any changes in the timing, you can work that well. It's great for helping you stay on track and trying to get all the items done, completed in your meeting.
All right, so that is everything I wanted to go over in the meetings plan tab. So Lori's going to talk about the updated resource tab.
All right, so the next tab we have along the top is the resources tab. This is a newly designed within the last few weeks to have actually a lot of resources available at your fingertips. We've designed it at the top level. You'll see all the different levels through Ambassador to Multilevel. These are, and you can rotate between each of them. These are level-specific content, such as you can see, the awards log, the badge chart, and various things like uniform placement for that particular level. If you the awards log and the badge chart, if you click on one of those, it'll link you to a GSUSA site that shows the newly designed pull-out page which you typically have in the Girls Guide to Girl Scouting. This includes all of the new journeys and badges to date, so that way the girls you can keep track of each of their which ones they've completed. The girls can do that themselves. And then also in the badge log, you can see the listing of all the national proficiency badges that we have. They've been recategorized, or they don't have the categorizations as they did before. They still have the themes that run through all of them, but they do include the newest content involved. Also, another link that's really good is the Badge Explorer. When you click on the Badge Explorer, once again, it takes you to a link to a GSUSA website. Here, this is a wonderful opportunity where you can specify the level that you want to see and the theme that you want of which types of badges you would like to achieve. From there, you can see, for example, this is all the outdoor ones. And then when you click on one of the badges, it gives you a nice overview of what you would do on that particular badge. Basically, it's like the front page of the booklets, of the badge booklets that you would purchase. This will tell you which 5 steps, what you're going to achieve in the 5 steps. From there, you can click the link to the Girl Scout store to purchase that badge. And some of them may have the opportunity to download the booklet, the badge booklet for those requirements. So that's an excellent opportunity excellent resource right there at your fingertips. Going back to the resource tab, as I said, you can also click on the uniform placement for each particular level. You'll see the newly placed badges and journeys on the girls' uniform that you can share with your parents. The parents do have access to this resource tab, so they too can see where to access these information, especially like the uniform placement. Down below that, then there are 9 different categories that shows different themes. Some of these resources that have been populated are general national content, and some are content specific to our council. So for example, under the Family Hub, Raising Awesome Girls, that would be a national content that the parents can view. Then more specifically, when we're talking, for example, in the trips and travel area, we have the events and program guide that is specific to our council. If they have more than what's listed, there'll be that little drop down more or less. And there's a limited number of categories we can upload for you, but we will try to do the best to find the resources that are most important to you. Once again, most of these are links to other pages. For example, under the cookie program, it may be links to our cookie page on the website. Our Camps and Outdoors will have links to our camps and booking reservations for a troop campsite. Once again, this is relatively new, and we will continue to update these categories. Some have not fully populated yet, but continue to check back for additional resources. Once, for example, the fall product and the cookie program will be updated yearly for the current year's program. We will also have on there opportunities for update. We'll have a from your council aspect. We'll say what's new and improved, and then there will be a link for suggestions. As I said, there are limited spaces available for the different content, but if you do have some suggestions when that link shows up, please feel free to click on it and offer your suggestions. We're always open for more suggestions. All right, scrolling back up to the top, the last tab we have is the finance tab. If you click on it right now, sometimes it kicks us out and has to go back through here. You will see that it has yet to be published. We are very quickly soon going to be publishing this link for our leaders. This is an opportunity to allow the troop leaders to upload their receipts, keep track of their finances, and submit their finance report at the end of the year. This link will go, once you submit all of the finance report, it will come back to one location, one of the CMMs at our council, and then it'll be shot back out to our accounting coordinators for auditability and review at the more local level. That way it can make any changes. This is submitted once a year, and hopefully it's not going to be required at this point in time, but in the future we're trying to get to have the flexibility to upload their finances right there. Once it is submitted, then it'll be accessible for troop parents to view and see how their accounting is going in their troop, to help with visibility and communication throughout the troop. Okay, and we will notify you once that link gets activated for good. All right, that completes the different tabs we have across the volunteer toolkit. And I want to check, Lisa, do we have any questions in the question log that we can address?
No, I don't see any questions, but if you think of anything later, please email us at troopsupport@gswcf.org. I'll show that on the screen in a moment, so you can write that down.
Okay, and then our that kind of completes the whole thing for the walkthrough of the volunteer toolkit. I hope this was helpful for you as you progress and continue to utilize this wonderful resource at your fingertips to help your girls achieve the Girl Scout leadership experience. If you have, we do have one more webinar that we will be hosting. That'll be this evening at 7 p.m. If you have co-leaders or even parents who'd like to see more information about this volunteer toolkit, please share this with them. We are recording this, so it will be available on our website at the gswcf.org under the volunteer toolkit tab. I did also want to mention that on that tab, on that web page, there are also some GS national videos that have a simplified view of how to access things quickly on the volunteer toolkit. But as we said, this is a much more detailed webinar for your learning experience. So as I said, if you have any additional questions, please feel free to contact me at troopsupport@gswcf.org. And once we conclude this webinar, you will be directed to an evaluation. We ask that you please complete the evaluation so we can always improve our webinars for you. Okay, well, thank you so very much for joining us today. I hope this was helpful for you. And as you could, please promote the volunteer toolkit to all of your additional co-leaders and your service unit personnel as well. Thanks so much for coming and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.